Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. Happy Friday. So happy to have some time with you today. And we're ending the week with a theme, which we started last night. If anybody missed it, I encourage you to go on our Facebook page and watch our When event. We had a wonderful conversation with four leaders in a health and wellness field talking about mindfulness and doing a little sound bath and some a wonderful like healthy easy recipe and rolling and how that can really help your body, and it was the perfect transition to today. And as I keep sharing with all of you, I think I've been manifesting all of these conversations based on what I'm feeling and hoping it's resonating with others as well. During this time that we're sheltering in place, and we have this ability to stay connected through YWTV and bring people together to educate and inspire us on issues and needs that we have at this time. So today we're so happy to have Karen Foote of Rebalance Reiki and Massage join us, and she's going to discuss a little bit about how energy and spirituality and self massage can help us center ourselves and accelerate relaxation. So before we jump into it, I know that you started your business in 2015 and you're a Reiki master teacher and a
Mhm.
spirit intuitive healer for 25 years. And you have 25 years of massage therapy experience. But can you tell us a little bit about your business and why and how you started it? I love for small business owners to hear each other's stories because I think you
Right.
all have such a creative and different, unique journey.
Well, for me, I started my business just because I like being in charge of myself. I didn't realize I had this entrepreneurial spirit. I just wanted to be in charge of my own schedule and my own say in what I do. So when I was 24, I started a massage business out of a gym. And then after my kids were born, I gave it up and started it back up again officially when I moved to Westwood 5 years ago. So I had like a 10-year gap or so when I was working out of my home. But what's made me start this space was, again, the need to want to be in charge of myself. So in the course of all those years, it started out as massage. Then it kind of put my toe in the water with energy, with craniosacral work. Then Reiki healing came and psychic development along the way. So I feel like my mission is to bring people to their spirituality in an easy and like not intimidating way. So
Hmm.
that's kind of, I massage is like the gateway drug. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
the perfect, excuse me, it was a perfect vehicle to kind of get people on board. So if they were skeptical about if Reiki was real or not, just get a massage and I'll put the Reiki in there and then see how you feel. And everyone was like, oh my God, this is so relaxing. So yeah, that just working with people one-on-one and helping them kind of connect to their spirituality. And I give them messages that I receive, just kind of heightens it and makes it more real for them. So that's kind of what brought me to where I'm at now. So obviously I haven't been working in person with people for the last few months, but I'm still working, doing distance healing and like Reiki shares and healing circles and stuff.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting to hear the evolution, of development of your own business. And I'm sure a lot of people, women, in the community, it resonates for them that they wanted to, be in charge of their own business and their own, kind of force there. So I think that that's, thanks for sharing that. So tell
Sure.
us a little bit. I know that you're committed to healing and well-being of others. So why is it so important for us to be balanced and to, feel moments of deep relaxation and restoration?
It just returns you back to who you really are and your real true essence. So all the other stuff kind of can pull us out and maybe other people's energies or that just the energies of where you are can impact us. So by doing this type of work, it brings you back to you. And that's where you're at your strongest self. So I
Hmm.
think that would be a good reason, right? That sounds like a good answer.
It is a good reason. It is a good reason. I know we all kind of probably sometimes forget who our real you or, the us is because we're doing all of this stuff all day long. and it starts to feel like that's the real us.
Yeah, yeah, you lose touch with your own identity because you become for everybody else. So it's super important to kind of be reminded of who you are and get in touch with, how you feel, and your higher self, your soul, whatever. Just to kind of be reminded of that that's there, running,
Hmm.
behind the scenes the whole time.
That's true. Very true. So, as we're sitting here now, we're both, looking at a device, right? And
Hmm.
I know over these last, 2 months or so, it's been overwhelming the amount of Zoom time and, time holding a cell phone in my hand. And, as you said, I mean, the ability to have that like personal contact has obviously been so limited to the few people maybe that you're, living with. And we've spent so much time attached to a computer. Um, I know for myself, it has really, I feel it. I'm carrying it, with me, and it's uncomfortable. What are some things that we can do to help, with our posture and help make that feel less, crunched?
Crunched. Yeah, that was the word I was thinking. Crunched in.
Yeah, that's just how it feels for me. So I don't know how for others.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been complaining about it publicly to my community how like I painted the porch because I wanted to be productive in my downtime, and then I hurt my neck, and then it never really went away, and then I find myself, and it's totally my left
Hmm.
whatever trap, because I'm curled looking at my phone like this a lot, and I found myself like, okay, now I'm trying to like hold my phone up here, or sit at my desk and have good posture, but it's so hard. So just to have the awareness is, first of all, like, catch yourself, notice where you're locked in certain, like, ergonomically, like the desk, and like all that stuff, like make sure your monitor is at your eye height and things like that. Like my laptop is up on a lift to
Hmm.
try to, and I have a separate keyboard so I'm in better posture, but a lot of times I'm curled up on the couch with my phone. So
Yeah.
what I would do to counter that is to just make sure you get up and move and exercise. And I really, like, it's been a big thing that I tell all my people is to get grounded, and that just, people just hear that and don't really know what that means. And I've been literally grounding myself next to a tree every single day in the last few weeks, where I'll take my dog on longer walks, and then we sit at the park for a while and just hang with the tree, and put your feet on the grass, put your hands on the grass, and just try to like let the energy go down into the earth, because we're so, just a way to counter it. But then a postural thing, those foam rollers,
Hmm.
like the exercise things, you could roll on them. I set up my 2 foam blocks for yoga into the heart bench position, which is, to open up your chest. So you're laying on the 2 yoga blocks. You could look it up. But those are ways to kind of counter the forward crunch. And then the massage moves, that you do the best you can massaging yourself. It's not ideal, but you do what you can. Because I would get massaged like about once a month always. And to go without it is really, and my husband and my son, my 2 sons, that they'll work on me, but no, nothing compares to professional hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't know if you want me to talk about the massage moves, but
Yeah, I have to
okay.
say, I actually am someone who, I'd rather drink like less Starbucks or, and put that money towards getting a massage monthly, which is a decision that I've made for years because I have a neck injury. And
Right.
really, I have to agree that, because of how we've been living and not being able to have that experience over the last, 2 months, and has really created, there's definitely some pain from how I'm sitting at a computer, but there's definitely the other pain from just my body missing, that
Mm-hmm.
therapeutic experience. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it would be wonderful for you to share with us, some techniques and tips about how we can do some self massage in areas on ourselves if we're feeling some tightness.
It's like, it's
Again,
totally
it's not
like a C plus
right,
compared to
right,
like the
right.
A plus.
It's
So
totally
don't
not
expect
ideal. It's kind of
don't
like
ex-
I have to say, it's similar to the conversation for those of you that were with us last week, and we talked about, ways that you can, color your hair, ways that it's kind of like bridge yourself, and hairstyles that you can do to kind of hide, the mop, that we've all have, grown. But the reality of it is, there's nothing like the professional,
right.
stepping in. But these are just band-aids,
Yeah, exactly.
obviously, that we're just trying to help people we'll get through at this time, but we
Yeah.
clearly encourage people to, be mindful and careful and, get
Right.
back to a regular, professional when we can.
I know. It's sad. So what you can do, what I was recommending, so I have two videos that I put out one was last week and one was like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. The first one was me massaging like my husband and my son. So giving you tips on how to like take care of your loved ones. And then last week's was my own massage, self massage. So with the self massage, that tip is to just be laying down in bed, because mostly your issues are in your neck and shoulders, your
Mhm.
upper back. So when you're laying down in bed, because that's when I was waking up in pain like every morning. So you have the weight of your own body resting behind, so you don't have to like worry about like massaging and manipulating. You're working with gravity. So one thing, aside from like doing just like regular massage where like I think this is kind of intuitive. Most people would massage their shoulders this way. The one thing that maybe not be intuitive, I was doing this yesterday, and basically it looks like you're just sunbathing. You're just like hanging out, but your fingers are in the nooks of the occiput, which is like the little. You'll feel like the center of the spine and
Okay.
those two little nooks. So I was just kind of like in there and like up and down an inch, and you kind of poke around until you find the spot. So you just kind of in these areas of the occiput, because that's where all the neck muscles attach. And I just kind of hung out, and I know that I'm an energy healer and I feel energy that are really subtle that maybe not everyone can feel. But if you give yourself the opportunity, you may feel it. So when you're hanging out there long enough and you find a spot that feels like it needs it, just hang out and press in gently. And eventually you might feel some heat subside and some release happen. And that's a little bit of, it's like a little bit of everything that I do, a little bit of massage, a little bit of craniosacral and Reiki. So you're just kind of locating where the energy blockage is and then giving it the opportunity to exit. So it's really kind of a neat thing if you are able to do it and feel the heat kind of disperse. And then you'll be like, oh, it feels better. And then just keep going, and you could follow the line of the muscle. And if you want to look up the anatomy to kind of give yourself the visual, that's helpful. One thing I left out of my self massage video last week was the muscles called the scalenes. The SCM is the big fat like wet noodle that's like, comes this way. But then the scalenes are the ones that run alongside, and like if you were to like do that face, the ones that pop out, those are the scalenes. They're like these long skinny ones. So sometimes those are the ones that are really wrenched, just because of texting neck. So for me, it's the left side that's really more impacted. So you can kind of wiggle your head into things and then out, and then you'll find the little roadblock, the little knot. And when you locate the knot that's bothering you, and the tiny ones are the most painful usually. So those tiny little buggers can be rough. But once you find it and you kind of stab it,
Mm-mm.
and you find the center of it and just hold into that dead center where it's more dense, and then eventually it'll have like that kind of, it might pulse like a pulsation kind of feeling where it feels like a heartbeat, and that heat release. So you just kind of hang in and anchor down on the areas that are nagging you as a way to bring relief. And I did feel better the morning after I actively worked on myself. But then sometimes you get sore where you're
Yeah,
beating yourself up. So then it's kind of like a balance, because like
right.
you just want to beat the heck out of it, and then you're like, oh, now I'm sore because I beat the heck out of it. But you can add in like that I had shared of the arnica gel. So like that's a good topical thing you could put on. I don't like the fire stuff like Tiger Balm and Icy Hot. Like I don't like them just because I hate that feeling of like that hot cold thing. I don't like that.
Mhm.
But if you like that, that's another good thing you could do. And I had like the heat wrap, like those rice bag things that from like 20 years ago.
Mhm.
But just as ways to kind of get the blood flowing, because it's just basically, I always think of knots as like dreadlocks. So if you don't brush your hair, your hair kind of gets all nappy and sticky to itself, and it kind of becomes its own strand. So the muscles need that regular flushing and movement to kind of break up the adhesions and the sticky spots.
Mhm.
And of course, drinking lots of water would be good.
Yep.
So water and exercise, and grounding. Those are really the best things you can do for your mind, body, spirit all in one chunk.
So you talked earlier about Reiki, and you talked a little bit about, some of the mind, physical, energy
Mm-hmm.
work. well. Can you tell us a little bit about, some other techniques that you would recommend for someone? And are they things, and I actually have seen both of your videos. I watched them because I follow you on social media, and I encourage everyone else to do the same. And we can link, we'll obviously be linking your pages here, and people can check you out and watch those as well so that they can get your, real instruction on those issues. But is there anything that for someone who's new to kind of the energy work that, is home and, interested, how they can start to embrace it?
Of course. And when I was new to it, I hated hearing it. And when anybody's new to it, they hate hearing it because it sounds like work that they are not going to be good at. But meditation will open you up. It'll bring the stillness, and then, you'll get the clarity, the insight, or just even the calm. Like, you don't have to worry about getting visits from your spirit guides right away. Like, just get still with your breath first, feel your body. But yeah, meditation's really good. And if meditation intimidates you, look for guided meditations, because it kind of helps to piggyback on somebody else's direction when you don't know, everyone thinks, well, I can't stop my thoughts. You're not going to stop your thoughts, but you're going to just learn to be with your thoughts and let them ride on by.
Mm-hmm.
So the meditation, the guided meditation would be the two things that I would totally recommend. Insight Timer is a helpful app,
Mm-hmm.
and you can choose whatever you want, whether you want to like fall asleep, or you want to expand your intuition, or you want to, whatever. There's so many options, and you could pick how long and the type of voice that you want to hear, the type of background you want to see. It's so cool. It's endless. My other favorite tool is crystals. So I have like a ton of crystals, and that's another thing you can add into your meditation, where you feel the energy of a crystal, and the crystal kind of helps you shift your energy, because it's like each of them have their own energy. So one stone might make you feel more activated, one stone might make you feel more calm. What I always say when people were new to me, and knew, like, they wanted to tap into their spirituality, but they didn't know, like, they came to me because they were new and they were drawn to me, and they didn't even know how they ended up there. And I would always say, Reiki, me holding the Reiki space for you is like creating that piggyback ride. When I said piggyback, it made me think of that. So it's just like, I'm like, here, climb on and I'll take us. So that's what's really cool about getting Reiki, is that you're able to kind of sync up your vibration with the practitioner's vibration, and it can bring you places. So that would be, I guess, another recommendation: get some Reiki, because that can help. Or other energy healing practices, shamanism, and a ton of other things that I don't even know about. But just getting into that stillness and that quiet to allow yourself to be guided, and for signs to be, drop down on you. And then you'll be looking around and you'll be like, oh my God, I saw that in my meditation. Now I'm seeing it as I'm crossing the street, or whatever, so you're like reassured that what you experienced was real.
Right, right,
So,
right. Right, the messages are connecting.
mm-hmm.
And I want to make sure I share with everybody too. And we did a YWTV episode on this a few months ago now, actually. Our Sexual Violence Resource Center recently added a creative arts and some, healing touch programs in to support our clinical therapy program, because, look, these types of modalities are great for everybody. I mean, everyone should really embrace them and have access to them, because it definitely, allows you, everything that you said, finding yourself, feeling that deep relaxation, being restorative. But for people that are living with trauma, it really can help you access places and create releases that might not get to as quickly, or might not get to at all through talking. It's a
Mm-hmm.
pathway, and having a professional who's trained in doing, this work and trained in trauma, really can, help transition you through some of it. So we do encourage anyone who is a survivor of sexual violence and is open to trying any of these modalities to reach out to our healing space program at 201-487-2227. It's free of charge, the service, but it is there to support survivors of sexual violence, and use these exact modalities that Karen is sharing for everyone. So I definitely encourage you all to do that. So, Karen, you talked a little bit about crystals, and I know that people probably are interested, but, possibly skeptical, so if for someone who might, want to learn more, what are some good, I know that crystals are very individualized, what it is you seek,
Hmm.
to survive. And I have to say again, I do follow you on social media, so I really, uh, am always very, affected by your beautiful, um,
The grids. Yeah.
grit create. And, what would you share for someone who's interested in learning a little bit and, what might be crystals to start with?
Um, yeah, with the crystals, it's like what the bottom line is, what are you drawn to? And you don't have to know the name of them. Like you could be in front of, well, you can't be in the store, but if you were to see them online, there might be one crystal that almost seems to have like an exclamation point over it. You're like, what's that one? So whenever you're drawn to a certain stone, do your best to find out what it's called and then research its healing properties. And you'll see that it fits with what you need at that moment. It's pretty magical. It's pretty cool stuff. So, yeah, I was very skeptical when I first learned about crystals, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" So then, over time, I learned that they do each have their own, but emit their own vibration and their own healing properties and different attributes and things like that. They're not just pretty rocks, but they are pretty rocks. So my husband calls them my rock collection because he's not a believer.
Mm.
But so what I would suggest, sorry about my throat. Amethyst is like, everyone loves amethyst. Where's my camera? And so this is actually called the chevron amethyst, but this was like one of my first stones that I ever bought. So I really love that. Regular amethyst is just the purple. And you'll see that the geodes, that's like a really common stone that people have heard of. And then clear quartz. Oh, my bowl is a little far away. I can't reach it easily. But I have a clear quartz, and everyone knows what clear quartz looks like anyway. And then, so clear quartz, amethyst, and what would be like a good grounding stone. I can't grab it because my ears are plugged. But
Yeah.
but black tourmaline is like this chunky, striated, heavy black. It's actually crumbly when you put it down on a surface, it'll crumble. But it's a good grounding stone. So it grounds and protects your energy. The amethyst will like raise your vibration, like spiritually, intuitively, and then the clear quartz is just an amplifier. So that's also good for like crown and like higher chakras. But like, one for every chakra would be good. But usually just go with what you're drawn to. A dark one, a grounding one, and a light one for raising your vibration would be the way to begin. And then anything else you're drawn to. Like for me, malachite was a stone that I was always like in love with. And so I have a lot of malachite. These are just here. I didn't stage myself because I always have crystals nearby. Pyrite is also known as fool's gold, and that's a really good grounding and protecting stone. So, you just have to follow your intuition, really. But and you can hold them in your hand when you meditate. You could place them on your body if you wanted to. But yeah, I know it's weird. I know it's weird at first, but once you explore it, and you probably even have some in your home, you just didn't think of them as a healing tool. You just had them out for decoration. So what you can do is hold the stone they always say your left hand because that's where we receive energy. So hold your stone in your left hand and just kind of like let it fall out of mind. Like forget that you're holding it. And after a while, you may start to notice that you're feeling vibrations or waves or like almost like a pulse coming from that stone. And then your brain will tell you, you're crazy. That's your breathing. That's your heart rate, whatever. So once you start to get something, switch it, grab a different stone, re-experience, like wipe the slate clean, start over. And you'll feel that the second stone does not feel like the first stone. So then you realize that there is something to it, So that's my quick spiel about crystals.
No, that's
I teach
great.
classes about them. So
So tell us a little bit. I know, I started out by asking you to share your journey about, how you launched your small business. And obviously, one of the things we've spent a lot of time over these last few months on YWTV doing is talking to small business owners a little bit about how they have kind of managed during this time and how they've kept their business going and what challenges, that they've had. So I know that your business is a real in-person business. Touch, you know,
mm-hmm.
and energy, which really comes from being together, is such a real part of that. How have you been able to kind of keep your business going and, during this time? What are some of the, creative, opportunities that you've identified, to keep connected?
Well, what the first thing was I had to get over my resistance to doing distance healing, because distance healing is a real thing. You could send, just like we pray for people, you could send energy to people. And I never was drawn to that. I didn't really care for it. I don't know why. I just really like being in person. But since I had no choice but to do distance healing, I had to embrace it. So I work on people from home, and we set aside about an hour. The first half hour, I send the healing from, the couch in a meditation. The second half hour, I follow up with the phone call and all my notes that I got when I worked on that person. So I'm looking at them almost like a hologram in front of me, connecting with their energy. Sometimes I'm even pretending they're on my table and I'm working on them. And then I write out what I'm getting, and then I do their chakras, and I get a chakra report where I give like a synopsis of what each of the 7 major chakras are, the images I'm getting, the feelings I'm getting. And then I pull some angel cards. I get an animal totem. And I also pull 2 crystals. So then at the end, I call them with that whole summary, and I give them the interpretations, what these crystals are good for, what this animal means, what these cards mean. And everything is redundant because that's the person's energy that day. So the angel cards are going to reflect what the crystal said. It's so cool. So that's one thing I've been doing, although I'm doing it at a lower rate and not as often. And New Jersey unemployment is very unhelpful. So I'm not earning as much money right now. But and then I'm basically doing a lot of, it's like my soul's work. It's kind of like my dad, would call it my ministry. So I'm doing it in a volunteer type of a way. So I'm hosting weekly healing circles where me and other fellow energy healers get together and we send healing to all the names on the list. So I'll ask people, who needs healing? Give me your name. I'll throw you in the bucket, and we're just go through the names and do these healings once a week on Mondays. And then every other Thursday, I'm doing Reiki shares with my Reiki friends, where basically we're doing the similar thing, where we meet on Zoom, we kind of touch base, we go dark for 20 minutes, we send the healing to each other, then we go back on and tell each other what we got. So it's like a quick rapid fire of like, I saw this for you, I saw that for you, and you just go down the list of 5 or 10 people. And so that's how I've been still working, but I'm not really earning a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm still doing it because this is what it just feels like I have to, it just feels right. So,
Yeah,
and I also had like online class that I was teaching too. I'm sorry, what
yeah.
were you going to say?
To say, I just listening to you talk all through this, and talking to so many people that work in your space over the last few months, and just from my own personal experience in life, is I do feel like your work is a calling,
Right.
and that you are, it comes to you, and then it evolves into wherever you're meant to go with it. So I can imagine that this has been challenging, but it's nice to hear that you've figured out ways to embrace what it is. So let me ask you, any of what you have employed during this time, will you keep it when we go back to normal, whatever that is? When
Yeah,
we
I think I might with the healing circles, like I don't know how it'll look, will we gather in person to do them, or will we continue to do them on? I mean, it's really nice to like not have to hop on, to a gathering until 2 seconds before it starts. Like that's a really nice luxury. So I don't mind that. I also have a client that had like a bad spinal injury
Mhm.
in the fall, and we did a group healing on just him on Wednesday night. So that was really cool because all of us got to get together, and he got like a blast of healing from like 7 practitioners. So I definitely think I want to bring that where people like almost like a clinic, and let all of us work on you, whether that's in person or virtual. I don't know. And I'm looking to open a meditation, like a healing center, yoga studio, whenever it happens. But it's supposed to happen, but who knows when now at this point. But
Right.
so that will be like a place for people to come and get their spiritual fix, whether it's I'm going to do sound healings twice a week. We'll have lots of Reiki shares and spiritually related, metaphysically related classes that I'll teach and other people will teach. And then, other types of workshops and classes that are related with different people. So it's so exciting to see how it's kind of coming together now. and we'll just carry it into the physical space however we can. I'm not anxious to take on rent yet. So
Yeah.
I'm okay with it taking its time. But
Yeah.
I see how the pieces are coming together already. So that's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for sharing your gift with us over this last half hour. And I encourage everybody watching to connect with Karen. She's on Facebook and she's on Instagram. And are you on Twitter? I don't know. I'm trying to.
No,
I was going to say 'cause I follow those two. I didn't know if I followed you. I don't remember.
I have
But
an account, but I don't do anything with
yeah,
it.
I understand. But I do encourage everybody to to check in with her. We'll have the links here and some of the, apps she talked about. And, again, if anyone needs healing space resource, again, we put the link here for that. But we do encourage you to take care of yourselves and to, spend some time embracing the real you, as Karen said, which I think is so powerful. It's so hard right now when we're kind of in our homes with our work, with maybe anyone that you live with. And if you're homeschooling, that gives some added, activity. Well, depending, it's positive or negative, depending on how it's being embraced in your house. But, there's so much happening and it can get lost. And then
Well,
there's,
actually, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, let me remember, like, to say this. I'm gonna run a kids camp, so long as I have enough interest, which I think I do. So it'll be different ages, and I even might run it for adults too, because it's just so cool and fun.
Mhm.
But it'll be like, as a way to nurture our kids that are, more sensitive or energetically, spiritually inclined, and so. That's another, when you're saying homeschooling, I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. That's something else I'm doing. So
you should all definitely connect to Karen's page and learn more about that. I want to hear more about that from my kids.
yeah.
But there's obviously she's got so much to offer, and you can definitely connect with as she adds more classes and opportunities. You guys can engage with them. But again, I do encourage everyone to take some time and to try to put some positive energy out into the universe between what we've been living through with COVID and just the last few days, which are
Hmm.
the kind of the racist happenings in the world that have flooded, which of course happen every day, but have become much more present in the last few days. I do believe that we can all put positive energy out there into the universe to try to um, you know uh, help with healing. Um,
The earth appreciates good vibes being sent. We've seen it in our visualizations, in our healing sessions, and it's amazing. The earth definitely benefits from us taking the time to connect with it and send it healing energy. It's really pretty amazing. So
so I do encourage everyone. Exactly, exactly. And I see Donna Myers watching saying, "Stay connected." So that's exactly true. Stay connected, and we hope to stay connected with us next week. We have wonderful other conversations to be had. We'll have Dr. Christine Thorpe. We'll be talking about strengthening our mental health during this time. On Tuesday, we'll have the Hangout Girl. I don't know if any of you have been following her story. She opened a shop in Englewood right in the midst of COVID starting, and how she has kept her business, how she's managed kind of opening a storefront days before the shutdown, and so she'll be sharing her story. And then on Friday, we'll have Dr. Patty O'Brien Richardson talking about how to boost your immunity through food, fitness, and faith. And so, with all of that, today is a day of action for the census. We do encourage anyone who has not filled out their census yet, please embrace this part of your civic duty. We all really need to be counted, and once we are counted, then resources for our communities that are needed are portioned out properly, and that cannot happen if we don't know where people are and who people are, and what their needs are. So please take the time to do your census and to check around with the people in your life and make sure that they've done it as well. And we hope you have a fabulous weekend, that you take some time between last night and this morning. We've given you lots of self-care ideas and opportunities to go back and connect with these wonderful practitioners, to embrace more and find some space for yourself in the midst of everything else that you're going to launch and do. Karen, thanks for this time together. I really
thank you.
Everyone enjoyed the time with you and hope you have a restful and wonderful weekend. Be well. Bye bye.
Thank you. You too.